Good afternoon, everyone. This is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews, and I am your literary ambassador. And today we have Jenny Jeffrey on our channel today. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you?
Thank you, Queenie. I'm delighted to be here. I'm very well, thank you.
Okay. Tell us a little about yourself.
A little bit about myself. Well, I'm a grandmother of 3 wonderful granddaughters. 2 are learning to drive. The other one is 15. 2 with my daughter and 1 with my son, Holly, Bethan, and Kira. They're, interesting age. So I'm a grandmother. I live in Bulgaria now. I've been here 13 years. I came solo. I'm still living solo. And I came here to write. And my first book was published 2 years ago, Awakening the Inevitable Adore. It's about, it's actually promoting and proving that after people pass, that the loving relationship continues in a different form. My daughter, age 3, passed in 1984, and I started writing this book in 2014. And and I've been in this lovely country 13 years, and life is good. Challenging, but very good.
Yes. Okay, would you like to read a snippet from your book?
Yeah, shall I read something from the introduction?
You can.
Yeah, okay, so I'll just bring that up. I'm going to read the dedication first, because it's quite interesting, okay?
Okay.
The dedication is for Holly, Bethan, and Kira, and all grandchildren. You stand on the threshold of significant change in the understanding of what it is to be human. May you live your life liberated from fear, and may you allow love to be its replacement. May you recognize your true, magnificent, and unlimited potential, and may you hear the whisper of your soul gently guiding you onward. So that's the dedication. And this is the part that I've brought up to read. Since the 1940s, our perception of ourselves and our world has changed dramatically. The unprecedented expansion in communication and information technologies allows us to observe galaxies, star systems, and nebulae thousands of light years away. Scientists investigate black holes and suggest that there may be other universes and dimensions waiting to be experienced, explored, and explained. We monitor the sun, witness coronal mass ejections and solar flares, and know when Earth will feel its effects. We've even probed other planets as potential homes, fearing as a result of our greed, exhaustion of our unique planet Earth, a fear that is based on total ignorance of our true nature and purpose. Yet has our perception of death advanced? Do we really know what it means to die? When a loved one dies, we grieve the absence of their presence, believing them lost to us. The resonance within our heart when they were with us, as love was given and received, causes us pain in the remembering. Sometimes our grief is so intense, we do not feel anything. And sometimes we cannot even cry. The day after I witnessed my daughter, Ellen Myers, passing, I observed her body as an empty shell. What was the essence of my young child had long gone. Since that December morning in 1984, through my experiencing, my understanding has expanded and deepened. I now know what we call death is an illusion. The reality of this inevitable event is not recognized, so we do not relate to and identify with the true process. Our awareness and appreciation of the metamorphosis that takes place is absent. Therefore, we do not experience the transition called death as a connected, combined event. So that's part of the introduction. I do have more, but I can go back to that a little later if you like. Or shall I read a bit more?
Okay, you can read a little bit more.
Okay. This work is written in partnership with a beautiful soul known as my daughter Ellen Meyer. You, the reader, and our birth family may experience difficulty in accepting the wisdom and understanding within these pages has come from her. It has also come from the dimension of life known to me as the realms of light, a dimension from which I first received communication during my daughter's hospital stay. Any taboo around communication from the dimensions beyond the grave only adds to the illusion of our separateness from other life forms. Any emotional response to these words demonstrates you have been touched and stimulated on a deep level. If you are unable to continue, please come back when you can. By not allowing fear to stop you accepting a challenge, you invite the opportunity to grow and change at a most potent rate. Change, the only constant, is the purpose of life. The motivation for this comes from the essence of your soul, which is unconditional love and harmony. This work is created with much love. It is offered in all sincerity to illuminate the inevitable door we will all go through, and the illusion we call life. If it gives you just a small mouthful of food for thought, suspending even for the briefest of intervals any belief that adds to the illusions, then I am content. For then your light, which is your truth, will have radiated all the more brilliantly. I've also got a very small paragraph here, which I've excerpted from another part of the book, which is a quote from a Realms of Light being. When a member of humanity recognizes the true nature of self as a being of light, emitting and receiving light, light pours forth into the Gaia matrix, assisting all humanity who are not in awareness of true self. Light also pours forth into the Gaia cosmos, the solar system, and it is a wonder to behold. When a soul experiencing the physical form enlightens the form, it is a wonderful filled event of cosmic proportions, aiding evolution.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. What inspired you to write this book?
Right. Well, I was actually asked by my daughter to write it, and it happened in Romania in 2013. And I've actually got that excerpt coming up if you'd like me to read it, or I can just tell you about it.
Okay, tell us about it.
Right. Well, I've been in Bulgaria since 2008, and in 2010 I felt change was coming.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, I moved a lot I moved around a lot as a child. I went to 11 different schools from the age 5 to the age 15. So I moved around a lot as a child. Mm-hmm. And I moved quite a lot as an adult. When I came to Bulgaria, the moving was the last thing from my mind. You know, I came to live in Bulgaria, and where I lived, that was it. But life has a way of changing things for you if it's better for you. And I felt change in 2010. And in late 2012, I broke my right hip. And 6 months later, I went to Romania to visit a community up there, because I felt very drawn to go there. Mm-hmm. And one morning, a few days after I was there, I woke up, and then I went back to sleep, and I had a dream. And in this dream, I was in a tall red brick building with red brick round the windows. It was arch windows. Mm-hmm. And I knew a tidal wave was coming. I knew a tidal wave was coming, because I had tidal waves in dreams around that time. I also knew I wasn't going to be harmed or the building, and the tidal wave engulfed the building, the whole building, with me in it, but I was unharmed, I wasn't wet, neither was the building. And I woke up after the dream, and I knew that an emotional event was coming my way, for which I'd been prepared. Because to me, tidal waves where waves and water is emotion, and a tidal wave means it's very significant.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, 2 or 3 hours later, I was doing Kundalini yoga with the people there. And during the meditation, my daughter came close. She presented as light, and she was supported with others. And I asked her, I was surprised to see her because some years before, I had let her go. I had let her go emotionally because I knew that she needed to grow in the realms where she was. So I was surprised that she came, but she did come, and she was supported with other light beings, angels. And I asked her why she had come, and she told me, we have light, heart, and energy work to do together. And I asked her, was it to do with death and dying? Because I witnessed her actual last moments, and she said yes, and beyond. And when I first started writing the book in 2014, the following year, I thought it was going to be 2 or 3 or 4 chapters.
Mm-hmm.
She would be telling her experiences, and we'd be sharing my experiences also about her dying. And there would be maybe some information from other departed birth member family birth members, sorry. And I thought it would be a small book for the family. I'd get it printed out and give it as a present to the family. But after I'd done sort of like a third of the book, it took on a momentum of its own. It ended up being 52,000 words.
Oh, wow.
And it was obviously meant for a wider audience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, and it was quite a journey. It was quite a journey. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What did you learn when writing this book?
What did I learn? Well, I always knew I was clairvoyant and clairsentient, clairaudient. In other words, I hear, see, and feel dimensions outside of the normal 5 senses.
Mm-hmm.
But I never talked to anybody else about it. I'd never shared it. So I had to get past my initial reluctance in sharing something so very personal to me.
Mm-hmm.
And the realms of light, who I first had information from them just before my daughter and myself left hospital because there was nothing more they could do for her. And she basically came home to pass. And I had to get used to sharing, and they told me to leave no stone unturned. And I was supported. I was supported by the angels, although I have some excerpts from that part of the book as well. And yeah, it was a journey. I was out of my comfort zone quite a lot. But as my experiences were drawn in, because they asked me to share my experiences, as did my daughter, I got back into my comfort zone. And then I go out of my comfort zone when another part of the book came up, because I didn't know I was going to be talking about the soul light matrix or the Gaia matrix or other dimensions,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't know there were any other dimensions. Although in 2012, towards the end of 2012 and into 2030, the fourth dimension had been mentioned, and I think maybe the 5th. But I was told about the 22nd dimension 6 to 8 months before I started writing the book by one of the light beings that I work with. And I was told that there are no individualized aspects of source within the 22nd dimension. Because in our 3rd dimensional reality, in physical reality, we are individualized aspects of source, or the creator, or Mother, Father, God, or simply God. But in the 22nd dimension, we are not, so I was told. So from that, I understood that we would be a group. We're a collective consciousness, mm-hmm. and a collective group. And I actually have 2 chapters on the 22nd dimension towards the end of my book. So I was way out of my comfort zone. So I was receiving information that I had no understanding of.
Okay. Yeah. When you say the realms of light, what are you referring to?
The realms of light is what it's a 22nd dimension aspect of what we are. We're light. As we are in human form, we are light. The realms of light are a collective of angels. It's the group soul of humanity and the group consciousness of manity within the 22nd dimension. And I received information from the realms of light, the angels, and other aspects of the realms of my light, which many people refer to as ascended masters. They're well-known ascended masters, and the three were introduced to me in late 2012, 2 years before I started writing the book. Yeah. It's been quite a journey.
Oh, okay. What do you do when you're not writing?
I'm a self-taught artist. When I lived in Ireland, because I lived in Ireland for 12 years before I came back to Wales for 6 months to prepare to go to Bulgaria. I'm a self-taught artist because in my 40s I was very poorly. It's part of that is in the first chapter. Because I had a difficulty with my bones, which is why I went to Bulgaria, because I needed more sunlight and other aspects of my health that needed a drier climate. So I lived in Wales for 30 years, west of Ireland, even damper for 12. So I needed a drier climate. And so I taught myself to paint in my 40s to alleviate the symptoms that I was experiencing, because I was quite poorly at the time. And when I went to Ireland with my second husband, I had occasional exhibitions, and I sold occasional paintings, which boosted my morale and kept me painting. But when I came to Bulgaria, I came to Bulgaria to write. I really did. Now, why is that gone like that? There we go. Did the picture go a little dark then? No, it's just like it's my thing. Yeah, okay. So I write. I also have I grow a few vegetables. I meditate daily. I also do energy work to keep my body as holistically balanced as I can. And I enjoy. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, and I enjoy life. Life is wonderful. It's an adventure, and I will be leaving Bulgaria within the next 6 months, 6 to 8 months, because I've been here 13 years. Because it's time for a new adventure. A new adventure. Yeah.
Okay. So you are a full-time writer now?
I write as when I can. When I try to write when I'm not tired. I can't write when I'm tired. It just doesn't work. I'm working on my second book, Awakening to Gaia. It's about the planet. A lot of it is channeled information again, because whether people understand it or not, you see, everything in our world and everything in the cosmos is super consciousness. It's a very fast frequency, and everything is contactable, and everything is communicate. Everything can communicate with everything else. Animals, everything, we can communicate with animals, they can communicate with us through all dimensions and all realities, because a lot of stuff is going to be coming out this year and in the next few years about this. And so my next book, Awakening to Gaia, in some respects carries on where Awakening the Inevitable finished. I'm also doing 2 non-fiction books as well, which is something different for me. I started a novella, a spiritual thriller with romance, in 2003, believe it or not. I put it aside. It's over halfway through, but I recently resurrected it. So that's quite exciting. And for the very first time, a book, a children's book, and I'm not sure which age group yet, but I think it probably will be 10 to 12 or 13 or 14, about a unicorn and an autistic boy.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Can you tell us what were the challenges of getting your first book published?
Ooh, well, I found a publisher, but next time I did think of self-publishing,
Mhm.
But because it was way out of anything I understood, I did find a publisher that was a hybrid publisher, and I had to pay a proportion of the publishing. Although they publish my book, they put it online. It's on several, probably about 8 or 9 different websites, including some that are not in English. So they're doing that, but they're not marketing. I'm doing the marketing.
Yeah, that was my next question. How are you marketing?
Well, it's interesting. I didn't do anything for the first 2 years, but earlier this year, I think it was January time, I decided it was time I started to market my book.
Mhm.
And since then, it's amazing the synchronicity that has opened up. I have a wonderful lady in the UK called Claire Perkins who does the Book Talk Radio Club. I'm a member of that. And I've done one live interview with her back in July. I have 2 more coming up within the towards the end of the year, maybe one in the next year. And it's being publicized quite a lot on social media. And I was gifted a book trailer, which is lovely. I won it in a competition.
Wow.
So that's lovely. And of course, I connected with you. I connected with a lot of other people. I have a radio interview coming up probably in September, and probably not this month, but I did give dates in September in a British radio chat. They interview artists, writer, musicians, and it's free of charge, that one, although I will give a donation. So it's amazing what's happened in the last 3 to 4 months. Quite amazing. But then when you align with things, you see it happens. It draws things in. You see, yeah.
How did you come up with the title?
Awakening the Inevitable Door. I came up with the door because it's a door that we will all go through. We have to go through the metamorphosis of dying. Mm-hmm. But it's not what it appears to be. And I thought, well, I use the door and I use the word inevitable because it is inevitable. Mm-hmm. But I use the umbrella title awakening because we are waking up to so much more now. It's an amazing time to be here. Even as I said in the dedication to my 3 granddaughters, there is going to be significant change in the understanding of what it is to be human. And I hope my book, in some small way, will help that change.
Okay. What has been the toughest criticism you have had since being an author?
Toughest criticism? Not many people know about me, so probably I haven't had any. That's just because no one knows that I exist, Queenie, to be completely honest with you.
Oh, okay.
Nobody knows Jenny. I know although my book was published 2 years ago, in April, end of April 2 years ago, 2018, in my 68th year, nobody really knows me. Although I have to say, something has just been triggered by your question. It was put on Amazon at the end of 2018, and early May I went in. For some reason, something told me to go into Amazon .co.uk, and somebody had left a review of my book, and it was quite obvious they'd not read it. Quite obvious to me. She gave it 2 stars, and she talked about God being a crystal woman in the sky, and that she did some of the exercises and her derriere didn't fall off, and she gave it 2 out of 5 crystals. And I complained to Amazon, and they refused to remove it. And it's not a verified purchase. So I really don't. So that's the nearest thing I got to a criticism, and I was very upset by it because I knew, and I actually wrote underneath my reply that if you read this book, you would realize that the book, I explained what it was about, and it is the love between a mother and her daughter, and it proves that the relationship continues after the passing. But Amazon flatly refused to take it off, and it's not a verified purchase. But I have had several 5-star reviews since then.
Okay. So what has been the best compliment so far?
Oh, a review that I asked the publisher to send a review copy to a lovely man I met, quite wonderful synchronicity again. Lives not far from where my son and daughter live daughter-in-law live in Lincolnshire, in northeast UK. And we were talking about something else, and I said to him, because I also am a Reiki, a 3rd degree, and I can teach Reiki, although I don't do it now. And I said, oh, I wonder, would you mind having a copy of my book? Would you mind reading it and leaving a review on Amazon? Because I only had 1 review up to then. He said, sure. So they sent a copy out to him, charged me for it.
Wow.
Oh yes, and there you go. And he came back sent me a copy of the review, and it is a long review which they put on their website, but I haven't got it on Amazon, but I'm hoping that he will be able to post it on Amazon as well. And he was singing my praises of this book. It was quite amazing. And he also thought that chapter 8, Creating Ellen Meyer, should be read by every midwife. Read the cutting of the umbilical cord, because the cutting of the umbilical cord should not happen until it is finished pulsating, because my daughter actually tells me why that is, because of the soul connection between the mother and the baby. The cord is the physical connection, but there is an energetic connection as well. And he was very adamant for that, and he reckoned the book would change the world. He put, and I thought, and I was so bowled over with his review. I was in tears. I was in tears.
What projects are you working on right now?
I'm working on Awakening to Gaia.
And what's that about?
This is about the planet, about what the planet truly is.
Okay.
It's a multidimensional aspect of the planet, and we can communicate with Gaia, and Gaia can communicate with us. It's all super consciousness to super consciousness. And also, she needs recognition. And also, we cannot exhaust her. It is not possible for us to exhaust the planet Gaia. We cannot. We can cause havoc on her surface, yes, and we can damage her, but nature will always rebalance in a way, and it's been proved with the COVID-19, within less than a month, with people not flying throughout the world, that the dolphins have been swimming in the canals of Venice. Mount Kilimanjaro, you could see that from Cape Town. The skies have been clear, and that is in just such a short time.
Yes.
But and yes, again, I will be out of my comfort zone in some of the aspects, because information will be coming through again which I'm not aware of. But I've learned to trust my guides. I've learned to trust the realms of light. I've learned to trust what I receive from Gaia. I'm just a channel. I'm a channel. But my ego gets in the way, I have days, if I'm tired, you see. Yes.
Where can readers find you and your book?
My readers can find my book on Amazon.com, Amazon.co.uk, Amazon.com.de, that's the German site, and Amazon.com.au, it's on the Australian Amazon site as well. It's on Goodreads, and it's on Barnes and Noble, and I think there's quite a few. Quite by accident last year, there are no accidents, synchronicity. I decided to type in Jenny Jeffrey into Google, and all these different sites came up with my book on.
Oh, wow.
There's Colbo and Smashwords, and it's available ebook as well. There's about 10 or 11 sites that, and I have to give the publisher credit here. They did put it on a lot of sites, a lot, and several were in different languages as well.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to add before we close?
Yes, I'd like to read something from one of the excerpts again, if I could.
Yes.
I'm just going to have a quick look. I'm not sure which it's going to be yet. So if you could just bear with me. I'd like to read something from my daughter, because I haven't introduced her yet. And it's the second chapter, which is called Passage Through the Door. And I'd like to read this little bit.
Okay.
Because I didn't know how, I knew I had to read, because the first chapter was called Why Write This Now, which says why write it after 30 odd years, you know. And I explained why. And the second, I knew the next chapter had to be about her passing, because it would cement for the reader my relationship with my daughter in a different dimension, in a different state, you know. And I wasn't sure how to start it. So I sat down after saying sort of a few prayers and whatever, and we started. And she started by saying, "Beloved being of light, shall we enlighten the illusion by sharing our experiences of my passing?" And I say back to her, "Thank you, light being Ellen Meyer, for this introduction. I have been wondering how to begin this part of awakening. The memory of this causes an emotional response still." And she replies to me, "Such was and still is our soul-to-soul connection and contract. This manifests as frequencies of light vibration within your energy field. You will feel these frequencies of connection within your heart as a charge when a memory of me surfaces. Thank you for this explanation. I may have questions later." And she says to me, "You are holding one in your mind." And I knew what she was referring to. "It has been there for many years. I ask that you share, Mother, that was mine." So I'm sharing here. Immediately after your passing, your father and I were sitting by your body wondering what to do. He suggested ringing our neighbor, a GP, a doctor, and after her official declaration, she offered to make some tea. I could hear cupboard doors being opened and closed, so I left the room to help. A slight weight, like a resting hand, lifted off my left shoulder, causing me to pause in mid-step. At the time, I felt this was when you left completely to go where all young children who die go. As my understanding has now changed, I now know your presence went to your father. And she replies, he has need of my light. He had need of my light. His was diminishing as the reality of what had occurred dawned. Remember, you woke him gently with the words, she's gone. He had not witnessed my transition and was therefore unprepared. And he was without the sensitive insightfulness that you have. The remit of all souls, whether experiencing physical human form or experiencing full light form, is to express their divine truth, their light. I was expressing mine, unconditional love as frequencies of light. It is our joint soul remit to bring to our birth family awareness, truths long overdue.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. My book has a lot more than just her passing. It also goes into her conception. It goes into her, which had its beginnings in another dimension. It goes into her birth. It also goes into the matrix of Gaia and our matrix, because it's interconnected. It goes, and also why we can communicate with animals and why it's important that we understand that we're all one. We're all one global family, including animals. We are all one global family. And it's very important that we recognize this, you know. Yeah. So I hope that was all right.
Yes, yes. Thank you for coming in today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate this so much.
All right.
Now, I need to send you a book, don't I?
Yes.
Right. Will you let me have your address and I'll make sure one is sent from Wales, okay?
Okay.
It'll probably take a while to get to you.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much. Again.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. This is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews. Happy reading. Bye, y'all.